All right, Salt-N-Pepa speaks. Salt, she spoke. She's talking. Who is Salt? What I mean, what I mean. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. My Wi-Fi is switching back and forth. Let me see if I can forget this. Forget, remove. There you go. Aha. Just wanted to make sure because the internet at the hotel is scrappy. They're going to collect bad review from me. But the way this whole thing is set up, I have to just be patient and be here. But anyway, let's talk about Salt-N-Pepa. You remember that song? What am I? Right? Yeah, that song. Exactly, from the 90s, from the early 90s, they were very popular, but she seemed to have been the most religious amongst them, amongst the two. There's Salt and there's Pepper, and this is Salt. And I saw a video on Instagram of her crying, and she was basically responding to people that have carried rumors about her ex. They're saying that they caught her husband with another man. That was the rumor. She told her story, but the thing about the internet, when you tell your story, quote unquote tell your story, people also, you will never be able to tell the full story, and people will take bits and pieces of what they can relate with, particularly what they can use to perpetuate their bad toxic behavior, and they might drive it, and negative will go more viral. So the rumors was that her husband, her ex-husband, which I think they just divorced recently, that he was with another man, according to her. And then she said she had lost herself trying to fit into someone else's box, and somehow that statement becomes something else. What does that mean? It becomes very vague, but you have to eat as a salt and pepper, especially after a divorce, right? So you do interviews, and then people will take bits and pieces. But here's the thing: in love and war, all is fair. You have to be prepared for that, and you can't. I hope you have enough shells to protect yourself, because the reality is that the media will do what it does. So people were thinking that maybe the real betrayal was that the guy was with another man. Would it matter at all? I guess it will matter because of our social construct. As much as woke people try to pretend, right? They try to pretend that they are, yeah, they are more accepting of progressive understanding of the human experience. Like, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that he cheated. No, it did matter to most women. When you ask them if your man had cheated with a man, a woman, would it matter? I bet you, unless, listen, the reality is that one will be more devastating than the other. Okay, that's the reality. So some, some, some people, they jump on the internet, okay, and in the spirit of they wanted to defend who they think is the bereaved or who they think is the victim, they end up hurting the person that's actually their person. We do it in in-law relationships, right? You jump out there, they came to report you, your friend came to you and came to tell you and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm going through. And then they went back home, and then tomorrow you're expecting them to continue the story, but they kind of like, zip, they're not talking. Why? Because they collect prick yesterday. And at worst, they're confused right now. They're not sure what they want to do. But in your mind, you say, you know what? You've said yesterday, move on, dump him. But I've been warning you guys, stop poking your nose into people's prick and quikus matter. It is not your business. All you need to do is be a supporting shoulder to cry on. A good shoulder to cry on, a supportive system is what you need to be to your friends. Stop being so upfront with your useless opinions. They're mostly useless. Why? Because the person that's inside of it is the person that can know what they're feeling. They don't necessarily know how to say that in words, but they know what they're feeling. And sometimes they will use the wrong words. They might say, he did this to me, he did that, he did that. There's some extremes, but most of the times, the reality is that you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what value they're getting that made them stay. So you telling them to dump them or to being too forward with that is not necessarily helping. Okay. The reality is that some will say friends should always defend. Friends should always be there when relationship fails. But what does being there mean, right? I'm using this as a, I'm using this story because again, the internet, some people might actually remember I said they will project. They'll project their toxic interpretation of what you're going through on you. She went on the internet to come and say, she put herself in a box, in someone else's box for so long, and she needed to. And then some people say, yeah, they saw a picture of him just hanging up. There was a picture that was even on Instagram where the guy did his hand like this on his. They took pictures together. And so somebody said in the comment that picture did not help in terms of the rumors. Somebody said, I wouldn't come out and defend it because she jumped out doing the same thing again, defending him, right? To say, hey, this is not, she didn't like the disrespect to her ex-husband. But the internet is like your friends. It's like the external world to your relationship, right? You go explain, because no evidence. They're always going to run with what they know, what they have, what they feel. And oftentimes it's completely disconnected from. So to Salt, right? She or any Salts out there, make sure that you understand this dynamic. No one cares, okay? In the grand scheme of things, they don't care. They could be a supportive system, okay? I care. I could be a supportive system, but I'm being honest as well. Like, the reality is that people only care about their interpretations of what you're telling them, and that can be far from the reality of things. Okay, that's the expectation. But you, the external person, the person that wants to support you, that friend, you're the friend that your friend came to cry on your shoulder. Now you feel betrayed because you went back to him. Yeah, you deserve it. Sorry. You deserve it because they hear word. You don't hear word. But let me dive into another angle of this story. Like I was saying, I think she's the more religious one among Salt-N-Pepa. Peppa was on a reality TV show not too long ago with the kids of hip hop, a show like that, something like that. She had a daughter on there. She's not as religious, right? I'm not here to discount religion. I'm here to discount your idea of spirituality. Okay, you need to have a direct connection with God. If you did, you wouldn't need to say it out loud so easily. It will be your lifestyle. It will be your way of life. It will show in the way you respond to crisis. Okay. Just because you're religious does not guarantee a long-lasting, loving relationship either. Okay. Nothing guarantees it, but the closest thing to it is your skills. Do you have skills when it comes to personal relationships? I mean, you've been winging things as usual. Just because you can fall on Bula, just because you can enter somebody's quickles does not mean you have the skills for relationship. Okay, that one is more of a natural thing, right? A natural urge you have when you see a person that you are sexually attracted to. You can do that. That one takes just but a moment. For some of you, it's 2 minutes. Okay, for some of you, it's multiple 5 times a day. Okay, but that only lasts for so long too. But when it comes to long-term relationships, which we all want, we want it because it's a form of connection for us, right? And in order to establish real connection, there's going to need to be certainty. We call it security, right? You need to feel secure. You're going to need to feel like you're growing in it, because if you're not growing in it, there's 2 people involved. Remember, somebody eventually is going to feel the need to outgrow the other person, and then you get left behind and you say, hey, but you sold a vow. There was a vow. You could just explain tired, okay? Because we're human beings. We can say vows and all this kind of stuff. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing. Once upon a time, duty and responsibility was good enough, right? But that's because the internet was not moving as fast. In fact, it did not exist. But in this time and age, I hope you know what you're doing. It's not going to be as simple as establishing whatever you guys want to call duty, responsibility. Your duty and responsibility is to know how to adapt in a very fast-paced world. Adapt to a moving, evolving relationship that's evolving in real time, very, very, very fast. That's your responsibility. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. When you shame or you speak ill of someone's ex on their behalf, you're not helping them. Okay. In fact, you're hurting them more. You might not see it visibly yet, but you're hurting them more and you might end up getting casted to the side. Okay. In fact, you're feeding in a wound, but in due time, that person will want to heal from that wound. Okay. And then the second part of this lesson here is that faith without work is dead, and healing without self-love is literally impossible. Okay. You cannot be pouring from an empty cup. And the only thing that can guarantee a long-lasting loving relationship in this life is your own wholeness. Okay, you need to come as a whole. Okay, it doesn't mean perfection. It means you're aware that sometimes you fall short and you're always working on building yourself. That's what it means. Okay, but let me know what your opinion is about this Salt-N-Pepa story. I want to know what you think about it. There might be some detail that I missed. The lessons nonetheless are the same. Okay, all right. Do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Let's move on to some other trendy stories around the world. I'll be right back. This is Ola, man of Prestige, your favorite relationship and marriage coach. If you enjoyed this, smash that like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Be a part of the Prestige family. My wife Lola and I have written 2 powerful books, Get My Marriage Back and Number 1 Red Flag, yours free at manofprestige.com. For personal coaching, send me a WhatsApp request for consultation to +1 732 305 8577. Stay tuned for more. Your journey to love and prestige starts here.